So let's begin with our first investor who's going to be participating in this reverse pitch. We have Álvaro Moreta. She is an investment analyst working at Adara and Ventures. So Ana, I remind you that you have 4 minutes, and I'm going to set a stopwatch. This is the first time that I have the power of keeping track of the time. So here we go. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. As I've already been introduced, my name is Álvaro. I'm from the Adara and Ventures, and I want to talk a little bit about my fund. So our fund specializes in cybersecurity. We don't just invest in cybersecurity, but also on deep tech, which are digital solutions for companies. Now, along these technologies, we invest in any sectors, and we also work along the lines and things related to security, data analytics, AI, cloud computing, etc. So why are we so interested in cybersecurity? Well, we started investing in cybersecurity quite a few years ago, and our first investment in cybersecurity was a security information and event management investment, and that turned out to work really well. And ever since then, we haven't stopped looking into that sector and investing. So we currently have several active investments in the field of, for example, with 4IQ and Countercraft, which is the field of cybersecurity, who are two projects of cyber intelligence. And we also have investments in HDIV, which deals with security of applications, or 42 grant, which deals with API security. And we've also recently invested in a company called Quality Clouds, which helps to manage all the doubts related to on the platform regarding Salesforce and ServiceNow. The main goal is to help them make more secure. So I would like to say that we're very active in cybersecurity, and we're always looking out for the sector, and we have a long history with cybersecurity solutions and working with them. So what do we look for at the end of the day? Well, we're looking for companies that are still in the developing stages, which means that they already have a developed project that's already available. And we want these solutions to be there for the company. And we want those solutions to have the potential of having a global, international footprint and the potential to grow. So I would like to say that we invest in a small number of companies. So what we do is we save the largest amount of capital to keep supporting the previous companies that we've invested in. So I would just like to support that anyone that has, if you meet these characteristics, then please get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to look at your project. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adara Adventures. You even have some time left over. So now we're going to go over to our next investor. We have José Huerta. He's the head of analysis at Venture Capital Program from Bankinter. So please, you have the floor. Good afternoon. As you said, my name is José Huerta. I'm the head of analysis at Venture Capital Program from Bankinter. It's a collaborating project with a venture capital, and we invest in highly potential startups related in the field of banking. So I would just like to emphasize on this point a little bit, because the funds that we invest in are funds that come from the balance of the very own bank. That's important to point out, because we're an RT bank. So this project started in 2013, and ever since then we've invested in over 40 startups. So just to get an idea, in 2020 we've done 11 investments. And if you'd like to look at our portfolio and perhaps take a look at our criteria and just to get a little bit more information, you can access this information on our website. And you will also find a platform where you can submit your projects. So the characteristics of our investment hypothesis is these startups have to be located in countries where Bankinter is located, which are Spain, Ireland, and Portugal. So we We invest in several models. Of course we're interested in cybersecurity, which is why we're all here. We invest in new phases. So usually we would invest between 50 to 200,000. So we would start investing in very early phases of the project, up to 4 million euros. And with this ticket, we would be around 5 to 7% of the production of the company. So we want our goal is to have the company have an MVP and to meet a series of criteria. So we want to analyze what the demand is for the market of that product that they're creating. So every startup is different and they have different KPIs. So I'd just like to point out that to evaluate the cybersecurity projects, we focus a lot on banking. So Bankinter has more than 50,000 employees. And of course, we have a very strong cybersecurity department. And we try to make sure to have them validate the projects that we're analyzing and investing in. So what makes us different is that we're a fund of the evergreen. This means that we have no accompaniment limit in investments. We have no temporary limit. So Bankinter venture capital program has been open for a long time, and it's probably not going to be closing anytime soon. So we're going to be supporting these companies in their following rounds for many years. And we also have no predefined limit to invest in these startups. So this gives us a lot of wiggle room to set ourselves between 10 and 12%, which is our ideal participation percentage for these companies. So we either have a leader or an accompaniment role, but we also want to be co-investors with other actors in the ecosystem. And this is basically what we do, and I encourage you to take a look at what we do on our website. And then you can also take a look at our portfolio, our investments, and then you can also see where you can submit your own projects. Thank you so much, Bankinter. Now we're going to have Amparo de San José. She is the director of IESE BAN. So, let's begin. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to INCIBE for giving us the opportunity to be here. My name is Amparo de San José, and I am in charge of the Business Angels Network of private investors of IES. We work in Madrid and Barcelona, and we also have a campus and office in Munich and New York. So my goal today is to explain what we do and how we do it to convince you to come to us when you're looking for investment. So just very quickly, so a few credentials. So we have 292 investments that we've performed in startups, 28 of them in the last 12 months. So we really haven't stopped. We've been working hard. We've had over 200 business angels that are active, and so from the smallest one can invest up to 15,000 and 150,000 when we're talking about big investment groups and family offices. So we're not an investment fund. We are an activity inside of IES. We're more of a platform, and we're looking for solid startups. So we create a selection of the committee with the experts, and then we present that to the investors. So the investors are the ones that decide how much they're going to invest and how they're going to invest. So it's a free service for them, whether they receive the financing or not. So then, of course, we look for startups. They are looking for up to 500,000 of funding, and perhaps even up to 3 to 4 million, with some exceptions. So what's very important is that we are not a network or a service that is only available to old IESE students. So I want that to be very clear. It's open to everyone, not just to IESE. It's open to all entrepreneurs. So it's also no surprise that we're not just focused around cybersecurity. And this is why most investors in Spain want to have a diverse portfolio. So you really don't need to worry about this because this is a very attractive sector, so all investors want to have projects in cybersecurity. Also, investors really don't need to understand the technology. All they need to understand is the problem, the solution, and the business model. That's how their business works, and that's what they're good at. So you have to be good at sending them that message very clearly. And you also have to be aware there are no investors that are experts in cybersecurity. So we communicate to the experts, to any one of my previous colleagues. So now this is the last thing I wanted to point out. So we've managed to have, so for those 292 startups, we've provided 500 million euros of investment, which means that other investors in those startups have invested up to 2 to 3 times as much capital. So that's all I would like to say. And let's hope that we at least reach to the 300th investor. And let's hope that the last 8 are going to be especially in the field of cybersecurity. So that was my pitch, and I hope I've convinced you. And I hope that I'll get to hear from you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amparo from IESE Iván. We're now going to have Juan López of Santamaría. He's the investment director of Kibo Ventures. So, Juan? It's pronounced Kibo, but Kibo sounds pretty nice as well. So thank you so much to Incibe. I think this is a fantastic opportunity. As you said, my name is Juan. I'm part of the Kibo Ventures team. We are an investment fund with office in Madrid. We have offices in Lisbon, in Barcelona as well, and we invest all over Europe. One of our biggest strengths is investing in cybersecurity. And for me, this initiative is particularly close to my heart, because I started working at Kibo when we launched the first fund. I worked in defense and safety and security, so I've been working in that for a long time. And that's why I'm so passionate about developing the ecosystem further. So I'd just like to say some things about Kibo that I think are very interesting. So the average ticket that we carry with a fund that we launched a few weeks ago was a fund of 100 million euros. Our ticket between 1 and 5 million euros. And I think that we prefer investing in Series A. So we've done other things before, but now we're preparing for invest in Series B as well. So we have a large portfolio of things that we can invest in. So there's many characteristics I think can be important about Kibo, but I would also prefer to talk a little bit about what we can help you with, or how we can help you, or what the role of Kibo is. So what I like to point out about Kibo is that what we try to do is to support the entrepreneur in as much as we can, which of course is a lot of things, but there's a few things that we do particularly well. And what I think we do particularly well is once we have invested, the following months, or for months, that we can add a lot of value with the goal of reaching the next step, which can usually be another Series B or even Series C type of round of investments with a lot more growth. And then what we also try to do is we try to provide or help with growing the team. So we try to help them reach the next step. And then we have a really good relationship with Portugal and the rest of Europe and the United States with the corporates that help us a lot with the partnerships that help to develop the company, or perhaps them even becoming clients. And we have some really, really great relationships with them. So our history, we have some history, important history with cybersecurity. We love this sector. We really liked participating in it. We've supported companies like Devo Custodio and Blue Leaf as well, which are very significant companies in the sector of cybersecurity. And many times we've already seen what it's like to invest in the dream of an investor, of an entrepreneur. and perhaps to invest around 5 million, more or less. And then to show them what, help them to just grow even more and to help them get to a next step where other investors can also see how they've grown and help them get even further beyond that step. In conclusion, I think that Kibo can be a great associate. I think all of us here, and I think Kibo has practically collaborated with all of us, everyone here. And I think with the field of collaboration in cybersecurity, we're great at what we do. So that's all I have to say. I just hope that you get to consider us one of the possible associates, and we'll be looking forward to your projects. Thank you so much, Kibo Ventures, Juan. Now we're going to have Iván Feito from Venture Capital and Corporate Development from Prosegur Tech Ventures. So, you have the floor. Thank you so much for having us participating in this event. I think it's fascinating to have so many different investors. I don't know if you can see my presentation. So I have a few slides that are going to help me talk. So in this slide, I want to explain a little bit what Prosegur is, but I think everyone in Spain kind of knows this company because we see the trucks driving around the streets, or we've hired them. Well, Prosegur is active in 25 countries. In fact, Spain is only 10%, less than 10% of our revenue, of our turnover. We have our headquarters here in Madrid. We have over 170,000 employees. So we have a very strong human workforce. We have 5 business lines. We're very active in acquisitions, and we have over 4 billion in revenue. So this is our investment criteria. So what we look for is we invest tickets that are more valued between 500,000 and 3 million per round. So usually we can adapt this. Of course, we can adapt our investment depending on the rounds, or we can follow up with other investors. We're looking for companies that are already active in the market that are currently growing. We have a global scope. We don't just invest in Spain, but in the whole world. We have investment in Israel, the United States, Brazil, Germany, etc. And of course, it's very important that we are aligned with our business lines. So how do we do our investment? So it's similar to any other fund. So perhaps the difference is that since we have a cybersecurity unit, one part of the analysis that we do is we do that in parallel to the cybersecurity team. And this is what helps us to validate the investment and the opportunity. And then after we invest, well, what sometimes happens is that we establish a commercial relationship with our business. Why does this not always happen? It's because many times we try to be independent when we're investing, because we prepare for the worst or for the best. So we don't have any expectations, and we like to have everyone collaborating with the competitors of Prosegur. So that's the idea. And then I would like to talk about the 4 units of Prosegur. One is the cash unit, of the transport and management of cash and valuables. Then we have a very important security unit. It's related to everything that physical surveillance. We also have a very big business of alarms and IoT. We also have a very important, collaborates with Telefonica. And then we are also a business provider. And what we do is we offer services to our users of 5 SOCs. And we offer services to the entire world. And then what we also look for is we're looking for other companies that can be related to any of these businesses. Of course, they're all related to the cybersecurity sector. Well, not only, but also payments in blockchain, cash, topics related to security with alarms, or topics related to videos. These are also very important for physical surveillance and security. Well, thank you so much again, and I'm so happy to be here and that you give us the opportunity. Prosegur, Take Ventures, thank you so much. Now Juan Revuelta has 4 minutes. He is the investment director, a fund manager of Swanlaab Venture Factory. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I had a presentation. I don't know if you can see it. So what I wanted to say about Swanlaab is that it is the evolution of a group from Israel that was founded in the 90s in Tel Aviv. So this group has been collecting funds ever since then. Originally it was called the Giza Group. So it started collecting funds until in 2011 it decided to start its operations outside of Israel. So it launched a fund in Poland, and it evolved greatly. So that's why they decided to continue along these lines with this investment. And then in 2016 they launched Swanlaab, Giza 1, which is the first fund in Spain and the first one outside of Spain, and the 7th in the whole world. So you can see some more information on the field. Swanlaab fits into Giza. We have over 15 years of experience. We have 8 funds, $670 million that have been invested, 130 investments, which are over 30 of them are currently still ongoing. And we've had over 40 great opportunities, 40 opportunities. Some of them are technological actives. Some of them you can see at the bottom of the slide. And we've also had, I think, 8 investments to stocks, to IPOs, amongst others. So here in this slide, you can see what the main axes are of our investment strategy at Swanlaab. So what we try to do is we focus more on Series A. We do have an example of having invested in tickets of $500,000 in starting companies, and we also have companies of larger companies in a later stage than Series A. But in general, our strategy is always revolved around Series A. So what we do in our sector is we focus on we invest, especially when it's related to technology, and always when it's related to B2B. So this makes cybersecurity have a very important role in the strategy of Swanlaab. So with regard to the size of the investment, since I said between $1 and $3 million of each ticket, and then of course we can adapt that for up to 4 million euros for those companies that grow a lot. So as you can see, we also focus a lot on the management team, on the business models, and the scalability of those business models. And I would like to focus especially on something that we try to be especially proactive with, which is helping the management teams of the companies that are participating. And we help them to perform and execute their marketing strategies and sales strategies in order to help them grow in the market. So this is our current portfolio from Swanlaab. I think we're missing one of cybersecurity that we just recently invested in. We haven't announced it yet, which is why it's not public yet. So I think that we'll publicize it in brief, which is when we'll be able to talk about it. So we have 2 cybersecurity companies in this portfolio. We've worked with a few more. In the end, the investments didn't finish well. So then we also have 5 companies of cybersecurity, and our goal is to have cybersecurity becoming larger inside of our portfolio. So we want to invest more in it, and we'll see it becoming larger. And then in this next slide, we can see that we're still very much aware of the trends in cybersecurity. Here you can see some of the figures that would make us very optimistic with the evolution of cybersecurity. For example, compliance is still key for CISOs in corporations. The regulations, this is also becoming extremely important. The reality of the shadow IT, which poses an ever-increasing threat to data protection. And I think we have to spend a lot of resources in avoiding these threats. And then everything related to phishing, which is still a very serious issue. And we have a lot of other identified fields that make us very optimistic in the field of cybersecurity. So we encourage you to keep us in mind and to consider Swanlaab as one of the funds that you have to call and call us to present your projects. Thank you so much, Swanlaab. Now we have Pablo Moro of Telefonica Ventures. Oh, excuse me, we have Joaquín de Aubeyzon, investment associate of the Crowned Angel. Excuse me, we made a mistake. Okay, you can begin. So thank you, first of all, to INCIBE for having us here to participate with the other investors. I'm gonna be very brief because we have a few things to talk about the Crowd Angel. So we're an online investment platform, and we're focused on startup investment and in the starting phase. So late seed, you understand those terms, but we cover between 200,000 up until 1 million, and I would say that the average round is around €500,000. So just a little bit of history, what makes us different as a platform. So we are part of the Ready group. That's a venture capital group. It's already well known. So the members of Ready already had the idea of creating something related to cloud funding, but something different. Thought more about an online venture capital platform. So not just a crowdfunding platform. So what we do is we create this. We focus towards the investor and the entrepreneur. So towards the entrepreneur, we're very strict about the selection of info. So what we want to do is offer a really good quality we want to have good quality in our base of investors. And then we don't just focus about the operations of our companies, but we want to focus on the long run and the medium run. So that's why we're also active in the councils. And that's why we also sit together in different councils with all the over 40 of them, with the companies that we've created, and how we're helping the investor. We're requiring for a business angel that has certain assets that they want to spend on venture capital, they want to invest, and we're looking for quality. We're going to give them good quality associates. And what we have to kind of offer is that our business model makes them pay carried interests. So as I said, our upside is that we want everything to go well. We want the investment to be positive for them. So here on the next slide, I'm going to give you some figures. So through the platform, we've already funded over 21 million euros, 80% of which has been over the last 3 years. It has seen the average round is around 500,000 euros. So we have co-invested with other co-venture capitals, a great deal of other investments, 22 million euros exactly. And we want to provide we're willing to provide a lot of value in both cases. So the average deal for the investor is of 7,000 euros. So in a round of 400,000 euros, you can see that we have around 48 to 50 investors of these mini business angels. So those are participating in one deal. And then also important to say, of 90% of the operations, of the operations that we post on our platform, of all the operations that we upload to our platform, 90% of them is funded. So we do this just exactly to offer quality to our base of investors. So as you can see, we've co-invested with the main active agents of the ecosystem. And the flexibility of our model allows us to be very flexible. We have the luck of participating in one of the first deals of Glovo, which is was moved around 3 million euros, which is one of our biggest success stories. And then we have Buguru as well, which is did a year and a half ago together with Iván. So that's also one of our success stories. And then Kimatio. Excuse me, Juan, you have to be wrapping up soon. And then Kimatio as well, which I understand is part of the program in FIBE. So yeah, we are an alternative to as a finance for startups, and we're very centered around cybersecurity, and that's basically it. So thank you so much from the crowd angel, and we're going to have the last pitch from Pablo Mora, from the manager of new businesses at Telefonica Ventures. So Pablo, you have the floor. So I don't think Pablo can hear us. Pablo, can you hear us? Okay, now we can hear you. Okay, so thank you so much, Infibe, for organizing all of this and for having Telefonica Ventures here. My name is Pablo Moro. I'm the manager of new businesses at Telefonica Ventures. And I'm sure that many of you already know WIDA, because it's the CIS investment part of Telefonica. And we at Telefonica, we are the corporate venture capital of the Telefonica group. So our goal is to invest in startups that can potentially be strategic partners for Telefonica. So we are a strategic corporate venture capital. And that is why we invest in core areas related to Telefonica. And these core areas are normally divided in 3 tiers. So we have networks as the first tier, because obviously we deal with telecommunications and networks are extremely important. Second tier is cyber, which is super important for us. Now we have BitLife I. And then we also have IT and cloud. And then digital consuming, which is where we include Intech, Daling, 5G use cases, etc. Digital transformation as well. So our portfolio today, we've done 25 investments. Now we have 11 that are active right now. The average investment deal is between 100,000 and 6 million euros. And we participate actively and in minority, and as a minority. We also tend to be co-investing with another lead investor, as some of the other colleagues just mentioned. What we look for are startups that already have a certain degree of maturity, that already have a product ready, and they already started having their first customers, so that they already start building up the foundation. So the last investments that we've done, one of them we're going to be announcing in the following weeks, but we're looking for more mature partners. So that is our limit, between 100,000 and 6 million, which is a maximum maximum investment for our tickets. And then finally, apart from investing in startups, we also invest in venture capital funds. So Kibo was mentioned. Well, he was one. There was one of them. So we have a network of 11 venture capitals. And what we're looking for with these investments of venture capital is to get to know and to find the trends and to have them bring us opportunities to invest and also to become partners with Telefonica. And focusing on cyber, we have a portfolio of 3 companies that we've directly invested in. Othomi, which deals with cyber IoT, which is found in between Silicon Valley and Switzerland, 4IQ and Blue Leaf. They both have quite a few capitals in Spain. And then, of course, we are also active in Devo through Kibo, and also Blue Leaf and other companies such as Custodio. And there are others. So our strategy as of today makes us be extremely proud of our print in Cyber, but we want it to be even larger. We want that in the following months or years, we want to make that print even bigger. And this is because it's so related to Telefonica. And this is what has been said by the leader unit of Telefonica. And also because the industry is absolutely booming right now with a growth of 20% only in this year compared to the previous year, even with COVID, which of course COVID has exacerbated. We're reaching the 8 billion in venture capital, so it's a large market. And also because we are constantly seeing new niches in the market of opportunities in Ciber. And these niches are usually filled by startups, and then that's when the corporates reach these niches. So we need to be there the first with the startups. So we are here so you can count on us as a potential future investor in your company, in your companies. Pablo, you need to be wrapping up. Thank you so much, Telefonica Ventures. And it's pretty incredible how strict you've been with the times in this reverse pitch. You've all been doing very well, and I really appreciate it. I would just like to remind the participants that these sessions are being recorded, and they will be published in a couple of weeks on the INCB YouTube channel. So you will be able to rewatch this pitch, and you will be able to rewatch all the information that you're interested in. So now I'm just going to pose 3 questions that we are receiving right now. So if you like, all of you can respond in the same order, although we're missing Ana Álvaro, who just lost connection. You have 1.5 minutes to answer each of these questions. So the first one is, what contact networks do you have to facilitate the internationalization? So I think it's my turn to start. So at Bankinter Capital, Venture Capital, we've always tried to find contact with international funds that would help to grow in future rounds, and that would help with funding. That is why in the last years, except with this pandemic, we've had several roadshows through Ireland, London, Portugal as well, and we've presented our fund, our project, with other partners of the ecosystem, and we've presented it to different venture capitals. And what this has allowed us is to have an international network of contacts. And of course, at all these events, we've made other contacts at all these different events. Amparo de San José. So in our case, so it's not as frequent for us, but we are using these networks more for creating contacts or for getting startups to open up to the market. So we have 2 instruments that we use. One of them is the European Association of Business Angels, and we are members of that association. And we share development with this. And in some cases, we've also seen a lot of large diversity of students, and we can also provide our help to enter, for help these startups enter the market. So you're going to excuse me, I said 1.5 minutes, but I'm hearing that we have to shorten that, make that a little briefer. So now we have Prosegur next. I think you said Prosegur, but it was my turn. Kibo Ventures, it's your turn. Could you perhaps repeat the question? Yes, what contact networks do you have to ease internationalization? So we spent a lot of time on this. So we have a venture capital network that is very wide that we've worked with. And we usually we share our deals because we really like co-investing. So that's why we also share that kind of information, investing in the same rounds, and we do that with conqueries as well. So we think that there's a lot. So we invest in those where we think there's a lot of future, a lot of capacity. So those are some of the perks that we offer when we begin, and that we offer almost at the very beginning. Iván Feito from Prosegur Tech Ventures. Can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you now. So for internationalization, we focus a lot on the physical presence of Prosegur. So we're currently active in 25 countries. And for example, with cybersecurity, I think we're already active, present in 6 markets. And then our idea is that we have a very powerful brand in this market, and we can reach all types of banks, local companies, etc. Although perhaps we're offering a different type of service, we're doing pretty well in cybersecurity, and that's kind of what we have to offer. So Juan Revuelta from Swanlaab. So from Swanlaab, what makes us different, except to contact with other corporates, is that since we're also active in Israel. We have a strong presence there, which is a very different market and very advanced in the field of cybersecurity. But I would also like to point out that at Swanlaab, we've always thought that the contacts and opening doors is great, but what we're looking for is that the very own company is able to create strategies of marketing and sales that make you independent, that can help you grow without the need for these networks of contacts. So the very own company needs to be able to progress without depending on anyone, because at some point the contacts run out. So they need to be able to create the sufficient leads that will help them grow by themselves. Joaquín de Aubeyzon from the Crowd Angel. So what I forgot to say at the end of my pitch is that a crowdfunding campaign gives a lot of visibility to the companies. So from TCA, we have a database of over 15,000 investors. And when we launch a campaign, we try to match the need of the company to the investors that we have. So that's how we can use the network. And on the other hand, our proximity to Sevensonic and Event Ready, which are other venture capital funds led by BBVA. And I think those are 2 of the biggest associates that we have to reach internationalization. Pablo Moro from Telefonica Ventures. So what we do is we help companies to scale the markets. For example, in Israel, which is where we're currently very active, we're in the markets, and also in Silicon Valley, and we're also active in Brazil and other South American countries. And then with the commercial companies, also, Telefonica is a multinational company. They're active in Spain, UK, Germany, just some of our main markets. But we can also help companies scale in other countries. So I'm being asked to ask you all a second question. So y'all briefly talk about some of the success stories that you've had in the field of cybersecurity. So I think that our biggest success story in cybersecurity was probably Smart Protection, which was a startup focused on giving protection to brands, digital brands. And I think today that's one of our most successful clients in the portfolio. So, Amparo. So we don't have any cybersecurity startup in our recent portfolio. Perhaps for our next forum, we have two potential ones too. We're going to present Juan López, Kibo Ventures. So recently speaking, in this June, I think it was, we had a round of 60 million on behalf of Devo, which is a company in which we've been investing in them for several rounds, and we've been helping them grow together with Telefonica. And I think that's one of the biggest success stories that we have with the collaboration between us and Telefonica, and it's grown a lot. And I think that's one of my most recent success stories. Iván Feito from Prosegur Tech Ventures. That's actually a very good question. So we've already done 10 investments from our fund, and we've been lucky enough that, and last year we invested in a cybersecurity company in Israel called Cognivo, which deals with GDPR protection. And we sold it to NetUp at the end, to an American company for around 10 million dollars. And it was we had some great revenue from the investment. And we also had a lot of success in how we developed our business in South America with them. And it was also, coincidentally enough, one of our first sale when we were just 2 years running. So Joaquín from Aubeyzon, Proud Angel. So I think our most recent success story is Buguru. We had a deal of 300,000 euros. So Buguru deals with AI and the analysis of the user behavior. So we fit in the picture when they were transitioning from consultancy to software and cybersecurity. And I think last year in November, they did a round in the value of $11 million, where several other funds fit in the picture, amongst which is an American fund which deals with cybersecurity. And excuse me, I think I skipped Juan Revuelta from Swanlaab. Excuse me. I'm really confusing all the names. I would just like to take this opportunity to say that a very relevant company in our portfolio that's been having a lot of success was the result of an IESE meeting, which is a company located in Huesca, Spain. And they changed their name recently to Aurus Risk, and they closed a investment round of a value of 6 million euros, where they had several investments from international funds. One of them is the fund called Paladin, which is one of the venture capital funds which is leading in cybersecurity on a global level. And it's located in a tiny part of Huesca, and it's been growing at an unbelievably spectacular rate. And now we're going to finish with Pablo Moro from Telefonica Ventures. So we measure our success in different ways. So we measure the growth rate of the company with whom we've collaborated. And then we have Nocturne and Distodio. Those are companies that we've invested in. And they have created a lot of business with Telefonica. And then we also focus on how the company has grown in its value. For example, with the companies in IQ or Devo that Juan mentioned. So I think those are examples that we can feel very proud of. Thank you so much to all of you. You've been great participants.